So as I said earlier, I'm Phil Benson, one of the founders of Mobile Glassblowing Studios, along with my partner Chuck. I'm the CEO, he's the president. We actually honestly flipped a coin of the titles. And it kind of fits because I take care of all the day-to-day operations because Chuck is also a full-time professor and father of many wonderful children, and he has a very busy lifestyle, so it works out really well. So yeah, we had no idea what we were getting into.
Like that again.
Okay, I think I've got this sorted out. So yeah, so I started out as a glass blower 25 years ago now, and yeah, I started out actually Georgiana's back here. We started out blowing glass together back at Tyler School of Art. It was one of those things, you're hanging out in the glass studio and they're like, well, if you're going to hang out here, you might as well do something. So I started working the doors, and they taught me how to bring bits, and then I found out I could take a class in it, and then I found out that I was allowed to do it for like a thing. So I was hooked ever since. But I've had kind of a meandering career of it all, which has culminated in what I do now. And I kind of randomly ended up in Americus as a visiting artist. I'm sorry, I'm going to kind of tell it from my perspective. Yeah, so that's kind of the way it goes. So yeah, I was living in my truck driving around the country. Met Devin back there in Toledo at the gas conference, where I was kind of an outsider. I was actually blowing glass in the back of New Soul's truck. They sort of like did an unsanctioned event, and they needed to drain a furnace. So they asked me to come over and drain a furnace so I could build up stock for my meanders around the country. Devin walks up and says, you got to come down to Georgia. You got to come down to Americus. So he arranged for me to come down as a visiting artist in 2012. I came down, fell in love with the shop, fell in love with everybody. It was just a perfect fit. They needed a studio technician at the time, so they hired me on as a studio technician. And that's where Chuck and I started working together a lot, building equipment. So he had this vision. Yeah, okay. We're just going to have to do it like this. So he had this vision of all these little... Sorry, guys. Right now, embarrassingly.
I gave it the Midas touch for you, Phil.
Resume slideshow. There we go. So Chuck had this vision. We were talking about it. This is my first big project when I got to the studio, aside from replacing device strips with bolts. Easy fix, man. So being a full-time educator and a compassionate father, he voiced his concern about the ability of his students to stay in field after they left. It's like you educate them, you show them they fall in love with this material, and then what? Like, good luck, right? So he had this idea of an army of little furnaces. And he had a project started. He had a little part of a crown cast, and he had part of a crucible invested, semi-invested. And just told me we need a furnace by this date to blow glass in the park. Okay, sounds great. So that's where Billy came from. The bottom half was an old glory hole project that got abandoned. This was really made from the stuff that was just laying around in the art department. So I don't think we bought anything new for this furnace. And Billy's got a different look now. It's still in use. So this was 2013. Got Billy done. As soon as we built one, we realized we needed another one. Oh. I gotta watch this, not this. So we built another one for the school, and then Jesse Durham was visiting and doing some work there, and he saw it and was like, I need one of those for my garage. It's like, I'm having a hard time getting blow time. It doesn't fit with my life schedule. So he commissioned me to build a studio, and I sure wasn't going to build one that looked like Billy. I just don't roll like that. So I came up with this idea. It was an interesting design problem, right? You want something that can go in a two-car garage with two cars. You can store your studio, and then you can bring it out a little less when you want. It's got to fit through the doorway. It's got to fit in a U-Haul because we had to drive it out there. So it had all these fun design parameters. So this is what we came up with. And I'm like an old sci-fi head, so this is like the Millennium Falcon, the Dalek, and like all these other sci-fi spaceships kind of combined. And actually the reason why it was faceted is because I don't have a means to roll metal. So that's why it was faceted, because it's an easy way to fabricate things with the tooling that I had. So we built a little annealer. We did a road trip out there. And on the road trip, Chuck was working out in Oklahoma for his brother that summer and hanging out at Blue Sage Studios. So I was like, oh man, that's on the way to Washington State. So we stop off, and I'm like, okay, you guys got to check this out. I roll up the back of the U-Haul, and everybody comes out, and it was a really funny moment because you're like, oh, there's a glass studio in a trailer. So everybody comes out, and they look at that, and Chuck was talking it up. You know, I wanted to show Chuck mainly because this was like the next one past Billy.
That was awesome.
And yeah, it was so much fun. So we came by and said hi. And Andy out there gives me a call, I don't know, a couple months later. He's like, you got drawings for that? I'm like, no. But I can build one for you. Yeah, so I ended up building, we built that one together, I think, the one for Oklahoma. And then several people saw that one. And then people saw that one, so suddenly it was a thing. Now at the same time, we were trying to, we had a friend out in California, James Friedberg, who ordered one, so we were building one for him. And we were like, man, we need to get this in front of people at the gas conference in San Jose, because it's going to be like just the right timing. So we were trying to work something out for that. It kind of fell through, and they were like, his brother happens to come in town and say, well, what do you need to make this a thing? So he wrote us a little check to buy some stuff and rent a building. So, and to get our business license, so we started a business. And we also, the tech display. Yes. So I've been going to the gas conference as an artist, partying, having fun, being an artist. All of a sudden, I'm going to call myself an equipment builder. It was pretty scary moment. He didn't see me for a couple of days after I clicked that button. I don't know what we just did. So now we're going to be on display at the gas conference, which is horrifying. So we have to build a little factory. So we rent this 12-foot by 32-foot building, and we're getting Chuck's backyard, kind of under this tree. We run like, I don't know, 6 extension cords from his house, about 100 feet away. We got these little welders going, and when they turn the air conditioner on, it would like blow circuits. I don't know how many circuit breakers we had to replace in your house, but it did the trick. So we built, I think we had 4 or 5 that we built. 3 of them were going to California. And we took off, went to California. We delivered my friend James's furnace, that one was paid for. And then we had the baby dragon, and we had, which is a 30-pound pot, and then we had the 60-pound pot in the back of the trailer. This woman, Cher, out in Bolinas, California, saw the baby, asked me the price, and bought it on the spot before we even got to the gas conference. And then another associate out there, that's Cher, and that's delivering James's furnace out in Bolinas. That picture sold a lot of furnaces. Let me back up and tell a little bit more of that story. So she bought the baby right on the spot, and then Doug Brown down in Half Moon Bay called me up the day before the conference and said, "You still have that other one?" He said, "My electric furnace died on me. I just lost $3 grand this weekend. I need a backup furnace." So he bought it as a backup furnace. Now he uses it exclusively. It's like glory hole in the furnace for him. He's been using it since 2015, and it's like ridiculous money maker for him. The thing that's messing me up here is my story line.
Wing it.
I'm going to wing it. So that's one of the things that's so great about these little furnaces. It's like people like to gather around the fire, and you got a portable fire that you just kind of show up, and it's magical, you know, and it draws people in. So there's a couple of pictures from folks at Public Glass using James's furnace, and this is set up in like a pizza place down the road from them, and they have these like gatherings where they kind of go out and then they get people interested in glass and to get them over to the brick and mortar shop, you know. What do I do now? Thanks. Yeah, so there's Half Moon Bay. That's the one he uses all the time. Still in business. They cut his overhead in half, and now he pretty much just travels the world and has a shop that makes him enough money to do that. He's like financially neutral, so he's got a really good thing going on with it. And here's Vivo Devin Cole. We did sort of an experimental internship, and he kind of helped us do some work, and we helped him build a furnace, and he did most of the work on his furnace. That's the one he's using now. That's right after he finished building it. That was a rough summer. And then there he is at Sierra Nevada Brewing Company in Asheville doing the Oktoberfest. So it's a big event, and that's one of the things that Devin's really good at is kind of putting together, getting a lot of glass blowers around and doing these events. So things started to take off, and we decided very shortly that we needed a new space. We were lucky enough to find this incredible space that we're in now. It's about 7,000 square feet, and we just moved into some offices next door as well. So, and slowly building up the tooling. I mean, you can see we don't have much in there. It's quite different today, you'll see. And we've been building all of this off of sales. So this isn't, we weren't able to take a big giant loan and do this, so it's all just kind of a build up. So I feel like it's a reciprocal kind of situation. Like we're helping glass artists build up their business, and they're helping us build up our business. So I think it's pretty neat. And then a little piece of innovation. So we decided, like, how many holes can you stick in one of these things? So these guys needed a furnace, and we were thinking about how they work. Like, look, let's put another working station on the side so they can both do stuff at the same time and kind of work together and do these big parts. So that's the very first double little dragon, and that was a really cool thing because now you got two glory holes, a furnace, and a pipe warmer, all in one thing running off of one burner. So if you know how to work it right, the thing's awesome. So our first international sale was to Kate. She's up in Ontario, Eugenia Falls. She has a lovely spot if you ever want to go visiting. She's got a bowler that you can rent and sleep in her yard. And she has chickens that live in the shop. Yeah, so she actually does a lot of the technical sales stuff for us in Canada, which is pretty amazing. There's significant safety systems that have to be in place for Canadian models. Won't get too technical. So at that first gas conference, Rashmi Day was walking around in San Jose, and she literally sat in our booth for about an hour cross-legged in between the dragons, because she finally found a way to make her dream happen in New Delhi. So she ordered one, and we built it for her, and she has two now. She's got a mini and the little, and she has the first public access studio set up in India, really, and that's in Delhi. And it's really, I've been over there twice, and there is no hardware store. So when you need a thing, it is. We take for granted the infrastructure that we have in the United States. Like you need a thing, you get on the phone, you buy it, and that doesn't exist over there. To go get a couple of nuts and bolts, it takes all day. So to build a glass studio that functions in Delhi is an astounding accomplishment. So we're really happy to be a part of that. So we also, we're very community oriented. We have space that has a little showroom. We have a little gallery in there. We wanted to, even though the bulk of our business doesn't come from here, we still want to be engaged in the community and be a part of this community in a positive way. And it's been reciprocated quite a lot. And then Rich shows up at the shop. How cool is that? Rich Dreisbach blowing in our shop. If you'd have asked me 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, that this was going to happen, no way. Ed Schmidt came in later that month. This was last year. So it's pretty awesome. If you build it, they show up, you know?
Then you get rid of them.
People, yeah. So the thing that's happening tomorrow here, this was last year, is the Hot Glass Craft Beer Festival. And the way that came about was a conversation over beer. I always say, be very careful what you wish for and say. Because people may pay attention, they may listen, and they may say, that's a really good idea. And then it may happen, you know? So, yeah, the Main Street manager really wanted to have a beer festival. And we're in South Florida. You know, it's pretty conservative sometimes. And it needed to be something in addition to that. So I always wanted, since we started this, Chuck and I had this vision of exactly what's happening today. Of wanting to make something like this happen, to have these little furnaces come back and put them in a circle and everybody collaborate and blow glass and exchange ideas and get inspired from each other and learn from each other how they're approaching glass in a different way. So, you know, I say something about that, and the guy's like, oh, yeah, great. Now we've got something that's not just beer. And the hot glass and craft beer, obviously, you know, it all goes together really well. So we had 6 furnaces last year. It was, and many of the people that are here today had furnaces here last year. It was really great. It went off really well. Everybody was super happy, with the exception of the lack of shade. It was awesome, which we took care of that this year. We had about 1,200 attendees. It sold out 2 weeks before, and it was just this huge success that the community rallied around it, you know. So we decided that was a really good point to start to engage people in blowing glass and giving them lessons. So we offered up some lessons, and we've started classes. And that is starting to lead into more comprehensive classes that we're going to start teaching. Shoemaker's going to head up. And this is another one of the things that helps. Like this furnace is here. First City Arts, Devin's here. The First City Arts furnace. So they go all over Pensacola. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when the panel's up. Yeah, doing outreach with kids. You can take these things and take them to schools. You don't have to get the school to come to you, which is a big, big difference in a shift, you know. Jaime Guerrero contacted us pretty early on, and he works with kids in Watts, you know, kids who are victims of violence, gang violence, kind of pulls them out of gangs, teaches them glass. Glass is a really, really powerful medium for healing and for community. I think more so than any other medium that I'm aware of. I think there's this intensity and this focus that's required. You know, I hear stories of folks using it to deal with PTSD and to deal with, I mean, I know it helps me tremendously. You don't want to see me after 2 weeks of not blowing glass. I'm just not a human being you want to be around. Like it kind of does something for your soul that I don't know of anything else that can do that.
Oh!
Yeah. So Chuck, not being a traditionally trained glass artist, he comes up with some really interesting solutions. One of them being, so, you know, you got to make some cash, making ornaments. Well, you run out of annealer space really fast, and it's really, really difficult to deal with. So we started talking, and we started talking about, well, they make millions of bottles, so how does that happen? And we discovered that he found some annealing cycles. The bottle goes from molten to 300 degrees in 37 minutes in an industrial cycle. So he came up with a tube that comes off of a furnace, and you put the stuff in the hot end, and in about an hour or so, it's cool, which is perfectly fine. We've done lots of tests on it.
30 minutes.
And it was funny because we built a bigger one and it wasn't working, and then we were having these problems, and then Ralph pipes up and he's like, he had seen this
Plumbing at Petra.
plumbing in Petra video.
Yeah.
And he informed us that if we tilted it at a certain degree, at a
6
certain
degrees.
6 degrees, it would back up, because that was what happened with the plumbing in Petra. And it absolutely works, and that's the key to that thing working. So the one without the fan, it's just naturally works. The way they did it thousands of years ago. So that was, we debuted that one in Canada, and it was pretty fun because nobody believed it. And then I know the first time I made a piece with it, I walked around all day. I couldn't believe it. Fritz couldn't believe it either. He tried to prove us wrong. Another piece of innovation that we've been working on with Tim here from Jackson County Green Energy Park is the veggie oil. So I think you're going to speak more to that, so I won't spoil that one. So we had gone up to a program they had before the gas conference in Virginia last year, and we all hit it off, and we said, well, why don't we bring a furnace up? So we modified a furnace, took it up there, and we fired it on veggie oil, and it was really awesome. It got hot fast. And here's another neat little innovation. This is Amy's. You'll get to see this. She's got it here. She's got a really great rig. It's this tiny little teardrop trailer that has an entire studio in it. So this one will be at, you'll actually probably see this afternoon over in the parking lot. So it was really cool. You know, we get these really interesting problems to solve when people have ideas. Yeah, it's just a really cool unit. And that takes us to our next step of what we're thinking about. We have this great space next door to us that's being used for storage right now. So what we're working on with the local community, there's been so much demand for classes and for this sort of learning environment that I think the town is ready for a public access studio. And kind of a perfect storm happened with some conversations with so everybody over at the art department, the GSW, they are interested in having a downtown presence. So there's this amazing space right next door to us, and what we're talking about is teaming up so that we have, the front of it's a gallery that will be student operated. There will be a director of the whole space, so there's going to be somebody that's like, you know, in charge of everything. The gallery will be curated by the art department and operated by students, so they get real life experience of a fine art gallery and how that works. And then there will also be a, what's that?
Will they get that on work study?
We haven't worked out those details quite yet.
It'll be a service learning component.
Right.
So part of the course.
Yeah. And then we will move our equipment and our hot shop over and Robin's flameworking equipment over to have the opportunity for extended classes in flameworking and possibly even do some residencies and just kind of operate it as a nonprofit public access studio, which I think is the next step. And kind of it's one of those things like if we use our equipment the way that we're promoting our equipment, we get a better understanding of what everybody's doing and what our customers are doing and what they're up against. And it helps us to figure out what the next innovations need to be. So that's where we're headed next. And that's all I've got. Except
All
for
right.
my incredible crew, our incredible crew. So we went from the two of us and those two guys back there in the backyard to a crew of 12 people. It's pretty awesome to work with these folks. And I know some of you guys were around yesterday, like, wow, everything seems so calm. You all seem so, it's all like, it should be more hectic than this. And that's because of these amazing people. Everybody has the autonomy to do what they know they need to do, and they do it flawlessly. So it's a real honor to work with everybody. It's a lot of fun. So looking forward to giving you all a tour of the studio later on. And yeah, that's what I've got. So if you have any questions, let me know. And right now we've got,
Break time.
yeah, it's a break. Boy, I sped through that fast.
How far